Yo, what's good? My name's Kang like Kangaroo. I'm a Canadian that's currently living and working in Seattle as a software engineer. And on this channel, we explore tips and tricks that you can take advantage of in order to reach fire faster. And you already know what time it is. Another month, which means another video where I show you exactly how much I spend, save, and invest. This month, I earned just over $6,000, and this is almost double what I normally take home on a month-to-month basis. And the big reason for this is because I've maxed my 401k, but we'll talk a little bit about that in the investment section. Next, we have my investments. This month, I contributed like $200 to my 401k in order to hit that contribution limit. And I also invested $1,600 into my ESPP, $650 into Bitcoin, and $200 into Ethereum. Now, if you watch my older budgeting videos, you've noticed that my pay has gone up a lot, but my investing has gone down a lot. So in the previous months, I would take home like $3,400 and I would invest close to $8,000. I think it was like $7,900, sorry. Now, a big reason for this is because I was contributing a lot to my 401k, so that brought down my take-home pay by a lot. But now that I'm finished maxing my 401k, I no longer get that pre-tax benefit, and everything from this point on, if I wanted to investing, has to be after tax. So last year, what I actually did when I maxed my 401k is I would take that excess additional money that I'd be taking in, so around $3,000, and I would be investing that into VTI through the M1 Finance app. But this year, I'm not going to do that. I've decided to pause my investments into the stock market, but just for a little bit. So right now I'm in the middle of taking a real estate course, and I want to start saving money on the side to invest into these properties if I decide to actually buy one. Now, I haven't made up my mind on if buying a rental property is actually something that I want to do, but I do want to have some money set aside just in case I do go forward and end up buying a rental property. This doesn't mean that I'm totally out of the stock market. Each month I still invest $1,600 into my ESPP, which I'll eventually sell and buy VTI once it gets into my brokerage account. So I still have a little bit of skin in the game. And after reviewing my net worth last month, I realized I was very stock heavy and wanted to start to allocate into other things. So that's why I'm taking the real estate course, and that's why I'm also increasing my percentage into Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right, so now we're going to move on to spending, which I think is going to be a little bit more fun. This month I spent roughly $2,800. To be exact, it was $2,834 and something cents. And here's some quick highlights for the month before we go through the transactions. So I ended up moving this month. This is why my background is a little bit different. My friends visited me for the 4th of July, and I also went to LA for a weekend to visit my friend. All right, with that out of the way, let's go through some transactions. So first up, we have auto and transport. This is for $99. So this was mostly just for LA, and this was a split between Ubers and a rental car. So I'll just want to say right off the bat, I have a huge rental car discount through work. So to rent the car for 5 days ended up being like $60 a person, which is really, really cheap if you ask me. So initially we booked the cheapest thing that you can get, which was like one of those really small cars. But our party size from LA grew from 3 people to 5 people. So logistically, it was not going to work that we're going to get the smallest car. I think we literally went to Avis and they're like, yeah, we're going to give you a Volkswagen Beetle. And like, there's no way 5 dudes are fitting in a Volkswagen Beetle. So I went immigrant father mode and tried to finesse the boys a little upgrade, if you know what I mean. I was thinking SUV, something like a RAV4 or a CRV, just something that would have a little bit more space for 5 people. Little did I know is they brought out the big body Jeep. Now we did have to pay for this upgrade, and it ended up being like an additional $30 a person, which once you consider the drop top capabilities that we acquired, I don't think it was that bad of a deal. Next up, we have internet. This is increased by $10 a month. That's because one of my roommates moved out and now I'm living in a different spot, and I'll get a little bit more into that a bit later. But yeah, internet is now $30 a month. Next, we have alcohol and bars. This is $33 over budget, but considering that I went to LA, not too concerned about that one. Next up, we have coffee shops. This is just for one croissant, which ended up being $8. Well, technically $7.74, but the croissant was very good, so I'll give this one a pass. Next, we have fast food for $153, which is $100 over budget. So before I went to LA, I had this vision in my mind where I had to get as many tacos as possible because tacos in LA are way better than they are in Seattle. So for me, it was like a cost-benefit kind of calculation in my head, so that's why I spent so much on tacos. And I will say it was worth it because the tacos are really good. Like, I've been to Mexico City and those tacos there are obviously on a tier of their own, but I think LA is probably one of the best second or third options that you can get while not being in Mexico. Next, you have groceries for $200. This is low because again, I was doing a lot of traveling. My friends came to visit me. I'm also clearing up my freezer, so this cost is going to be pretty low for the next couple months, I think. Next, we have restaurants for $300, which is $200 over budget. And yeah, I think this is kind of expensive, but it's mostly because I was visiting LA. Now, just because I went over budget does not mean that I regret the decisions I made, because the food in LA is really good. Now, I know the Korean food down there is really good, so we specifically went out of our way to get KBBQ, and the spot that we went to was called Quarters. Pretty good, I do recommend. And the Japanese food there was really good as well, so we had some pretty fire ramen. Overall, I really like the food that I got in LA, but I think a big part of this is because one of my boys lives there and we were visiting him, so he knew all the food and took us to all the good spots. Next, we have gifts, which is $15. That's boring, whatever. Health, fitness, $0. Next up, we have rent for $1,269. This is rent for the previous month, so technically not this new place yet, but with rent, utilities, internet, electricity, all that stuff in this new spot, it's going to be also around $1,300, which I'm pretty happy about. Haircuts, $0 this month. Laundry, $0 this month. Shopping was $86. This was some tank tops from Uniqlo, some random stuff on AliExpress, and one of those neck pillows that you can use to sleep on the plane because I've been having too many restless flights. Now, I didn't buy these, but I got the Issey Miyake Home Please pants as a belated birthday gift from my boys. And like, come on, man, look at the detail on these. Crazy. So anyways, this is not something that I would normally buy for myself, so that's why I appreciate it so much more from my friends that they got it for me as a gift. So shout out to the beans if y'all watching this. Now that show and tell's over, I gotta fold them up nicely because I got them as a gift. And I feel like now that I have these pants, I have to level up my whole entire drip game because, to be honest, I'm kind of lacking. Next up, we have travel. This month, I spent $492 on travel. And you might be thinking, oh, this is just him spending money in LA. You would be incorrect. This is actually flights from Seattle to New York and then back to Toronto for a little bit. And if you've watched any of my previous budgeting videos, you can see that I travel quite a bit. And that's because I really love to travel. And it's one of the things that I don't mind actually spending money on. For me, it's definitely worth it. But as you can see, these prices are starting to add up. Now, I was also supposed to go to Victoria in July, which would have been another $170 just on the ferry ride there, not including the food and all that other stuff and the car rental. But I didn't end up going because I sprained my ankle, so I guess I saved myself $170. And finally, we move on to everything else for $62. So this month I watched 2 movies in theaters. One was Tom Cruise running for 2.5 hours, and the other one was that dude from Peaky Blinders cosplaying a scientist. Both great movies, obviously different vibes. This month my friends also visited around 4th of July, so we rented one of those donut boats and just sailed around SLU, which was pretty fun as well. So like I said a little bit earlier, this is a new spot. I did move, and everything added up, it's going to be around $1,300 a month again, so pretty good on that front. But what's cool about this spot is when I moved, it was actually semi-furnished, so I only had to bring some of my stuff. So most of the stuff I did sell for a loss, but I ended up making $250 on my couch, so I think it kind of evens everything out. And what is also fun is like I bought all this furniture like 2 years ago, so that time has passed. That money is gone, right? That's old money. And now that I've sold all this stuff, it's like now I have new money and I have extra money. But I know this is technically not how it works, but it's just something I tell myself for fun to make me feel better for spending a lot of money in LA. I know that when I talked about LA, all it sounds like we did was just eat, which is true. We did do a lot of eating and drinking, but there are a lot of fun things to do in LA that are actually free. Some things that we did included playing beach volleyball, doing a nice little hike, going to the Getty Villa and the Hammer Museum. Now, you do have to pay for parking at both these spots, so it's not technically free, but I guess if you walk there, it'd be free. I also infiltrated Riot Office to nerf Yasuo into an unplayable state, which was free because my friend brought me there. And speaking about LA, I forgot to mention, but like on my second day there, I saw Sabonis, who plays for the Kings, and I was like, bro, this dude's super tall. And he was just chilling at a coffee shop, random whatever, right? Next day, we go to Dover Street Market, which is like a high-end luxury designer store, and I saw Bobo there. And I'm like, bro, this dude is way taller. Like, I thought Sabonis was tall, and I saw Bobo. Like, not even in comparison, bro. Now, I didn't get any photos or videos of those guys because I didn't want to be a weirdo, but I am 2 for 2 for seeing celebrities in LA. Last time I saw Victoria Justice from that Victoria's Justice show. I can't remember what it's called. And while those are some free things that I did in LA, here are some things that I did in Seattle for free. In Seattle, I caught the fireworks of 4th of July. Very cool. I also caught a free concert. So Seattle's doing a bunch of free concerts throughout the summer to... I don't know why they're doing it, but they're doing a bunch of free concerts, and I managed to see Umi, which I had not heard about before, but she ended up being really, really good, and now I really like her music. So that was cool. Thanks, Seattle. I also walked around the Fremont Market, which is technically free if you don't buy anything, and I went to the beach and played some spike ball with my friends. Also, my ankle's still messed up, but I'm starting to play ball again, which is also a free activity. So overall, July was really fun, and I know August is going to be a ton of fun too. I'm going to New York, and then I'm going back to Toronto for a little bit, and then after that, some of my friends are visiting me. So while it will be fun, I know it will also be expensive, but that's okay. And I'm also in my new apartment right now, which is a nice little fresh start. And if you're wondering about the logistics of this apartment, how I was able to get for $1,300 a tour, you can watch this video right here where I go over what $1,300 can get you in Seattle.